basis than people in London attend church on a regular basis. Isn't that a little bit disappointing? I feel a bit disappointed that in a country where it is illegal to attend the church, people are more likely to do it than in this city where we have the freedom to gather and worship without facing persecution. But that's what's happening. And the reason that's happening, in spite of the persecution people are facing, I think the reason that's happening is because they are taking that call, that command that Jesus gave to go into the world and make disciples, and they've made it their top priority. It is their first priority. Their priority isn't their personal achievements. Their priority isn't building their own personal empire. Their priority isn't getting this job title or that job title or the corner office or saving up to buy this house or that house or driving this car. That isn't their priority. Those things may be important, and they are important. I'm not dismissing those things, but their number one priority is making disciples. Do you want to know how far they take that? Let me tell you the story of a pastor called Farid. I heard the story this week. Farid was born in a Muslim family in Iran, and he met Jesus in 1996, and he joined one of the underground churches, and he ended up becoming a pastor of the underground church. And they launched 48 churches in other cities and towns and villages around Iran from that one church. And on Christmas Day, one Christmas morning, they were at his mother-in-law's house. His mother-in-law and the whole family were Christians, and they were celebrating Christmas in secret at his mother-in-law's house when the secret police came. And they broke in, and without knocking, they broke the door down, and they arrested his mother-in-law and his brother-in-law. But they didn't recognize him because they hadn't come to arrest him. His family happened to be staying over. And so he sort of played it a bit coy. It was like, oh, you've arrested them, but can I go and can I take my children? And so he took his children to school, because Iran, Christmas Day isn't a public holiday. So he took his kids to school, and he dropped off his 7-year-old girl at school and said to her, Daddy's going to be away for a little while, but Daddy loves you. And God is with you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. And then he took his 2-year-old boy to school and said the same thing to him. He didn't see his daughter for 10 years, and he's never seen his son again. Because he went back to the house, and they realized who he was, and he was arrested then, and he was tortured and interrogated, and then he was left in solitary confinement for a year. For a year he was in solitary confinement, and then spent the rest of almost a whole decade in prison. But some of the stories of even when he was in prison are incredible. He was telling stories about this time where he was in solitary confinement, and he was so overwhelmed by the presence and the love and the joy of God that in solitary confinement he was dancing, no music, but he was dancing on his own. And the guards heard some noise, and they thought something was happening, and they opened the door and asked him what was happening. He said, I just feel so filled with